Mystery Mondays coming right at you.
Yeah.
Baby, Mystery Mondays came on you.
Woo!
Mystery Mondays coming right at you. Baby, Mystery Mondays came on you.
On you.
It's a mystery, it's a Monday, it's a mystery, it's a fun day.
Fun day.
What mystery is making its way to you?
Over to you.
It's a mystery, it's a Monday. Thank God it's Monday. What mystery is making its way to you? Whoa. Well, there you go.
That's it, folks.
Mystery Mondays. It is Mystery Mondays. Thanks for being here with us, everybody. What fascinating mystery are we going to bring to you today?
It's Calum's turn.
It's my turn today. Yeah. So it's a radical tonal shift. We had like someone was like funny, almost like bluegrassy style intro, and then some rapid tone shift.
Time to die.
Yeah. So are we ready, everyone?
Yeah, man. I'm excited.
Got my mystery shirt on. I'm ready.
Oh. Have you two ever heard of the Devil's Footprints?
The Devil's Hoof Prince.
Yes. Also known as that. Have you heard of that?
No, I just said it. That's
I
pretty,
haven't.
no.
But that sounds cool already.
So this is a cool tale, and it happened really close to where we are recording this.
Cool. The Devil's.
So hopefully the Devil's not like peering around the corner at us right now, watching in. They did used to say, didn't they, that if you like what's that? That's what they say, like speak of the devil. You know that saying, like, speak of the devil.
What, then he listens?
Like the idea that if you like say somebody, then like they'll. So if you like speak of the devil, then they'll like appear for you.
Because it does happen, like sometimes, doesn't it? Like you're just chatting away, and then someone like will walk in the room, and it's like, oh yeah, speak of the devil.
It's sort of that same energy that people say they have when they're thinking about someone, then they might get a text from that person.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, that definitely has happened to me before. I mean, people that are like really overly skeptical of that will just say like, maybe it's somebody you would think of like fairly often, but then the rest of the time, obviously, if you normally don't get a message when you think of them, then you're just like going to forget that you even thought about them. Whereas obviously, if you get a message, do you know what I mean? So it's more like chance.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It does definitely happen quite a lot.
Maybe you're something that's happening on some deeper level that we're not aware of, you know. So anyway, the Devil's Footprints. Get comfy. It's time for today's mystery. The Devil's Footprints were mysterious, cloven hoof marks imprinted in the Devon snow over the night of the 8th of February in 1855.
Oh my.
Sweeping an unyielding trail of up to 100 miles, they were found in fields and lanes. They even scaled rooftops and jumped up drain pipes. They were undeterred by solid objects such as haystacks or walls, and were even undaunted by rivers. So
100 miles?
Across 100 miles, yeah.
Whoa.
In one single night. And as I said, it was like really weird. So there would be like people's houses, and like the hoof prints would be coming up to the houses, and then it would look like it came around the back. So at first they thought it was like almost as if it had like gone through the walls, but then they realised that the hoof marks had gone over the top of the house. So it had almost like whatever had left him had somehow like got on top of the house and then walked across top of the house, almost like in this weird motion.
Whoa.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself here, but is this like a one night thing, or did this?
Yes.
Cool.
Don't worry, young Bullwinkle. Sit back and relax. I shall tell all. Theories abound as to what might have created this extraordinary phenomenon, with many believing it was Satan himself. What were the Devil's Footprints? The Devil's Footprints, also known as the Devil's Hoofprints, were an extraordinary trail of imprints in the snow in southwest England that materialised over the course of the night. The prints looked as though they had been created by cloven hooves, but were, in all other respects, utterly inexplicable. The cloven hoof shape of the Devil's Footprints was said to resemble those of a donkey, but what's strange is that the gait, after being examined, was definitely not that of a four-legged animal. They were, in fact, had been made by a bipedal creature, or a two-legged creature,
What?
So that's why everyone just immediately thought it was the devil, because obviously you think about all of those depictions of Satan. It's almost like a half goat, half man, like the legs and the head of a goat often, isn't it? Each of the devil's hoofprints measured about 3 inches wide and 4 inches long, which is not dissimilar to that of a donkey's. The steps, however, were comparatively small, spaced between 8 and 16 inches apart and in single file, which is very typical of your average man. The devil's footprints were primarily found in the county of Devon, specifically surrounding the Exe estuary, but some reports included Dorset as well. The exact route of the devil's footprints is unclear. If all accounts are to be believed, the route was a circuitous one, so that means it's
circular.
It doesn't go in like a straight line. It seems like random.
Right.
From Exeter in the north to Torquay, 25 miles south, and then 12 miles west of that to Totnes. Not necessarily in that order though. It took in a distance of 40 miles overall, but also meandered and wandered extensively within that area, so they think it covered up to 100 miles. So 40 miles, but then along the way did a lot of weird random little walking. One of the most unusual aspects of the devil's footprints were the places they were, and indeed were not, found. There were accounts of them skipping over areas or jumping from one place to another, of being on rooftops, on either side of the River Exe, and also some solitary prints in fields. I think that's almost creepy about when they found it by the river, and just the idea that it's it looked like it walked up to the river and then it just came out the other side, almost as if it just walked right through the river or something. Do you know what I mean? That almost just seems a bit weird.
Yeah. Did you say this was on a snowy day? So it was
so that's obviously how they found it.
Yeah.
So obviously back in the day, it used to be colder than it is now. So every single winter there used to be a lot of snowfall, even in the south of England. So this was a really snowy night in Devon, and then they woke up and there were just these weird footprints all over Devon and places of Dorset. One farmer recounted that the devil's footprints stopped on one side of a haystack only to restart on the other, with the stack remaining untouched. The Times article of the 16th of February 1855 spoke of a vast number of foot tracks of a most strange and mysterious description. The superstitious go so far as to believe that they are the marks of the devil himself. With the shape of the marks so resembling the devil's described cloven hooves, many were quick to ascribe the phenomenon to the Prince of Darkness. This was all the more sinister in conjunction with the myriad marks to and from doorsteps and circling homes and churches, creating rife speculation that the devil was out combing the countryside for sinners to take back to hell. That's pretty creepy though, isn't it? Imagine getting up from your house and then these weird cloven footprints all around your home, and they were like almost like circling your home and like stopping at windows and stuff. That's like watching you.
Just to hear that 100 miles away it was also happening.
Yeah,
that's quite creepy.
That is very creepy. While many believed this phenomenon was the work of the devil, many other theories abound regarding the mystery of the devil's footprints. Some believe that it could have been a hoax. This theory supposes that some of the prints were hoaxes. It points to the difference between those areas where prints were dense and erratic and those where they were in straight lines up and down paths. It is posited that the latter type were fakes. One author even suggested that the marks in Topsham were made as part of a protest related to a local church. Some people think it was animals. Several types of animals have been cited as possible sources of the devil's footprints. Some people think it was cats, hares, mice, and even badgers. Donkeys and horses have been considered, but could not account for any of the rooftop prints.
Or the bipedal nature of the prints.
I think people are just reaching, do you know what I mean? One Reverend G.M. Musgrave told his congregation at the time that it was a kangaroo that had escaped from a zoo in Exmouth. Birds have also been suggested, especially as flight would account for the gap in prints. But in all instances, there are anomalies that preclude each species. Whether it is that the hoofprints do not match the animal's tread, that the animal must have been biped, or that it cannot fly. It should be noted, though, that in relation to the shapes, there was a thaw on the same night that might have disfigured the original formations. So yes, that's a strange one. So I mean, some people could say, when ice starts to melt it does
Changes the
distort
shape,
it a little
yeah.
bit. That's like some people say about like supposed like Yeti. I know like footprints in like the Himalayas. People think that it might have been like humans' footprints, but then as the sea started to melt, it's got
just like the heel
bigger and
is the
stuff.
bit that leaves or whatever.
Yeah, well, it's just like the foot in general just gets looks like a lot bigger, so it looks like an inhuman-sized foot. But then again, as I said, like why would it look like a cloven hoof?
And how would it just jump from place to place?
Yeah.
Like, how do you explain that?
That's the thing, and that's the interesting thing about this, like with the animal theory, is there is literally like no animal that really, when you like put it up to scrutiny, could
Matches up to that.
would make sense.
Yeah.
Cryptids and aliens.
Ooh.
Some have even attributed the marks to UFOs and even sea monsters, although without much traction. So I don't know much more about the UFO and the sea monsters theory, but I mean the idea, I guess, that like some weird sea monsters like crawled out of the ocean. Very H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
One of, if not the definitive writer on the subject of the Devil's Footprints is Mike Dash. In his paper, The Devil's Hoof Marks, Dash concludes that none of the theories, with the exception of supernatural intervention, could on its own account for all of the marks. The spread of the Devil's Hoofprints, along with the short time span. Rather, it might have been a combination of several different factors, many of which we've already cited. So yeah, it's a proper mystery. As I said, the only thing, like, do you know what I mean? It's like, whatever you think of doesn't really seem plausible. It's very strange. A lack of contemporary evidence and witnesses means that it's unlikely that the source of the Devil's Footprints will ever be determined. What is certain is that the mystery has continued to fascinate any who come across it, and that, without a firm explanation, some will always believe that it was Satan who wandered Devon on that fateful night in 1855.
It was definitely something, and that's what's most interesting for me about it is that it was definitely like something leaving these crazy marks. So it's like, what could it have been? And the fact that there was like no sightings at all. You can imagine that there would have been someone out and about, not in the middle of the night, or maybe it was way less.
They disappeared.
Yet there were so many.
yeah.
Yet there were so many sightings of the actual hoof marks afterwards.
But no sightings.
It
on
like
the night.
gives it credible.
And also the
Makes it
thing about the roofs. Like if it was on the roof of someone's house, then you would think that there'd be more people saying that they heard it walking across their roof and what that would have sounded like.
It'd be interesting to do some like more specific research into that to see if like anybody actually thought that they did hear something. Do you know what I mean?
Because the other thing I thought, could it potentially have been a person with like say like hoax wise, could it have been a person with like hoof boots on or something? That would be, because that would be like walking like a man, but then just like with these like hoof boots.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like, you know, would you be able to? I imagine you'd need like a level of balance.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? With that, if you could do it maybe with like crutches, it'd be easy. But do you know what I mean? Imagine like if you actually had like hoof. Imagine putting your feet in, and then it like tapers down to like a little hoof. Like that would be so hard to balance on, especially like in the night time through the snow in winter. Like you get freezing, and it'd be just really genuinely hard to. And then you'd have to climb onto people's houses and then walk across the roof and then get down again. Like,
you have to make some sense.
I wonder how many of the actual like claims of the hoof marks were like legit. Because it could be, I know we've spoken about before, of like on the serial killer episodes and stuff, where there's this weird thing in humans that once they hear this case of a mystery, they kind of want to be in on it.
Yeah.
So I could almost imagine like people seeing just bird tracks and stuff the next day and be like, I've
There's the
seen
hoof tracks.
the devil's footprint.
Well, no, because word wouldn't have spread that fast. You got to bear in mind this was back in like 1855,
true.
so there was no like television or mobile phones or anything. So like, I think the way that it was is like when the first tracks that were found, I think they were like they probably like called their local constabulary and stuff like that, and they just followed the footprints, and then and obviously got more and more perplexed as they continued to find them, and it just kept on going and kept going all these like crazy places. So I think that's probably what happened, and then obviously it didn't probably explode until a week or two later when it would have been in the newspaper, and then people would have read about it, and then maybe other people would have come forward and been like, as you said, then it might have been like, actually, now you come to mention it.
I saw the footprint.
Yeah, like I live in Devon, and there were some weird footprints that I saw that morning or something. Do you know what I mean? Either way, I think that's a really interesting tale. As I said, it's one of those that's I don't see how it could ever be solved nowadays.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The snow has long since thawed.
That's it, because it was snow as well.
Yeah.
It's like you got like a day for to kind of study it as well.
You're
And
against the clock.
no videos and camera footage of what it would have been like.
It's almost like really creepy, but it's almost like it'd be cool to if you had like a time machine just to go back and then almost just like go to that night and just like see what it was.
Yeah.
Imagine how horrific it would be though if it actually was something like really horrible and you were just like,
devil man it.
Yeah.
I think one of the most interesting things is to think that like what we've talked about with the creatures of the deep that haven't been found yet, like how like different animals or different creatures that are just out there that you just don't know about, that like could be like walking or sharing this space with us that we don't even know about, but they're keeping super quiet and super hidden because they don't want any part in human activity.
Man, to be honest, there's loads and loads of tales that I have read like that. In fact, there was another one that I was torn between doing this one and doing another tale for Mystery Mondays today, so I'll save the other one for next time. But the other one is mental. Yeah. In terms of like like what you're saying about like weird creatures. Do you know what I mean? That like it's like humankind haven't interacted yet with, but then maybe there are like glimmers of like every now and again there is, and then like just like mental stuff happens.
Whoa. It reminds me of that one you were telling me about. That was like, it was a series that you started watching and then you got really into.
Oh yeah.
and that was like, and it led him to this cave and stuff, and oh god, that sounded crazy. That sounds a bit like that. And there was like some. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I can sort of remember it, but I can't remember exactly what. And
then you said you started watching the series, and you were well into it, but then it started getting like really crazy.
No, that was
was this
Hellier.
Yeah, I remember that.
Started off like really good, but then it just got really weird. And
didn't they say that like there was this cup possessed by like by an alien or something?
They were like, this cup is like proof that there's like this like alien here, and that he might be the cup. They were like saying that it like might be the cup. And I was like, because it might be like because it was like a shapeshifter.
I can picture your face as they say that and be like, what?
Can you imagine like the first season? I was like really gripped, and I was like every episode I was like, this is amazing. Can't wait to the next one. And then the second one I was just like, what the hell is this? I almost felt like cheated.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell is this? Yeah. It was good though anyway. But yeah, there are some other like genuinely really good, interesting, mysterious tales. Do you remember? I can't remember if you were working for the station yet, Bullwinkle, when I said this one. But do you remember the one I told you? You definitely heard it, Drew. And it was about that. I can't remember if it was like Romania or Hungary, but it was like they found that like archaeologists like found this like weird underground tomb. And then the government like sealed it off from the population, but then there was like a village that was like a mile away, and then like the government officials had like hooked up electricity from the village. And then like loads of weird stuff happened and stuff, and because they like hooked up the electrics to like the village all the way to like where this like weird like tomb was they found, people in the village started getting like weird phone calls in the middle of the night, and there'd be like weird voices down the end of the phone.
Whoa.
And there are reports of like that people that there's like strange reports that are unverified, because this guy that supposedly worked like for the government like sort of like leaked it and said that like some proper messed up stuff went on down there. They went down there, and apparently there was like this body of he reckons that it was probably like the body of like an extraterrestrial, but it was like 5,000 years old, and there was just this like massive tomb, and with hieroglyphs, but like hieroglyphics, but they weren't like Egyptian hieroglyphics, and that it was just really really strange, and like loads of weird mental stuff, and apparently like some of like the team that went down there just like disappeared and were like never found again and stuff like that.
Whoa.
And apparently they thought it was quite small at first, but then like they realised that it was actually like massive, and it was this massive subterranean area. And
do you say this was South America?
No, it was like somewhere like Hungary or Romania or something like that. And then it also like people that were, the guy that leaked the stuff said that the more they were working on the site as the days went by, like weirder and weirder stuff happened. And like by the end, they like thought that they could see like strange little creatures in the forest at night, like watching them and stuff.
Oh my god, that sounds. Man, there should be a series on that. Someone needs to make a series.
Yeah,
on
there
that.
so should, or like a movie or something. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, that was our Mystery Mondays for this week. The Devil's Footprints. What do you think made the Devil's Footprints? Let us know.
The devil itself.
Comment below. Do you think it was Satan, or do you think it was a bipedal donkey that had learnt how to walk on that cold, fateful night in Devon on the 8th of February, 1855. Join us again next week for another mystery. There's a mysterious seagull that seems to have penetrated our defences.
Oh my.
Until next week, everybody, stay spooky. We love you.
Stay spooky.